This video is from the course Introduction. It's designed for complete beginners and assumes you have no knowledge of the subject matter. If you are interested in more beginner, intermediate, or advanced content, check out our website, SUBMETA.io. We're talking about how to roll properly. So first we'll just break down our training into 3 separate types, which are, there's drilling, which is basically we've got someone not really resisting, just giving the right postures as we get to repeat a technique. There's specific training, which is where you have isolated a skill but with resistance. So for example, I'm going to try and armbar someone and they're giving resistance against that armbar, or I'm working from one particular position and we limit it to that. When we're out of position, we reset. And then there's rolling, which is basically from start to finish. So you shake hands and you keep going until a submission or the timer runs out. So it can go anywhere. So it's a lot more open in terms of what can happen.
Mm-hmm. So importantly, when we talk about how to roll, one key point that we want to bring up is you need to have a deliberate practice. So the techniques that you're drilling and learning in the course, you want to be trying to implement them when you roll. When you're in side control, you're going to try to do the escape that we've already gone over. When you're training, from the guard, you're going to be looking to use the armbar technique, which we've learned. So all the techniques that you're learning, you need to start to put them into practice and very deliberately seek out those scenarios. It's rolling and anything can happen. So a lot of things are going to throw you off and make it so that you can't execute the technique exactly. But your goal is to come to training and execute the set of techniques that you're learning.
Yeah, and I think we see, I see that quite common. We want to bring up the mistake, I think, that happens. You see people trying to do something that is clearly not the right move. It's not even something they necessarily, especially when you first start, you don't really have a repertoire of techniques to use from except for what you've seen. And I'll see someone trying to twist someone's shoulder from a position that they just cannot actually do that. So I see that they're not actually thinking how do I get to the move that I know? And that's what you think you should be doing at first. And you've only got a few moves that you know, then whatever you can do, try and get to that position and use those moves. And as your knowledge expands, you get more available techniques to use.
Yeah, you don't want to let the animal spirits take over and just kind of start to fight over every single position. You want to be very precise. And one thing which can be useful for that is to limit your intensity to, we say kind of like an 80% heuristic. So try to only go to a maximum of 80%. If you're having to really struggle and really push it to 100%, you probably can't repeat that technique. Most jiu-jitsu techniques are working on leverage, they're working on positioning, and if you have to strain and really exert yourself rigorously to perform a technique, you're probably missing some aspect of the technical execution, which if you refined it, you would have an easier time executing.
And I think with that 80%, so we're talking maximum, I don't think you should be sitting at 80% the whole time. No. You should be probably lighter than that and try to conserve your energy. And then at certain points when you feel like that you do require a bit more, just don't go too hard, keeping that limited to some degree. And I think that applies not just to strength, but to speed and power and all of those attribute-based things. Because you don't want to, especially explosive movements, we have to be particularly careful about injuring our training partner. On that, how do you know if you're rolling too hard? One, you're having to sit out between rounds. So let's say there's 3 or 4 or 5 minute rounds. And if you have to take a rest, you're probably going too hard. Okay, we want you to be rolling at a pace that you can maintain for pretty much what would essentially be 20 minutes in a row. If anyone's told you to slow down, you're probably going too hard, especially early on. Okay, especially if more than one person has said just to slow down. Trust me, you need to slow down, because most of it, what I've noticed is most of the people who do roll too hard and are unpleasant to train with aren't necessarily aware of it. It's like they've obviously been told, but they don't seem to take that on board, and they seem to keep that same pace. So really take that feedback well and slow down if you are doing that. So in summary, make sure you've got something you're trying to achieve during the roll, a particular skill set you're working on, and make sure that you're keeping to a maximum of 80% of intensity. I hope you enjoyed this video from the course Introduction on SUBMETA.io. If you go to SUBMETA.io, you can watch this course for free, uninterrupted, with exercises to help you with recall. Also for free, we have the follow-up course to this Foundations 1, Escapes, which builds on the content you'll be learning in this course.